Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to many of us. Welcome to CEO Talk, a series conducted by CXO TV, where a CEO narrates a story and share their learning and their success of building a great brand. So today we have with us Prem Naraindas, the founder and the CEO of Katonic.ai. How are you doing, Prem, today?
Yeah, I'm doing good, Anuj. Nice to see you. I've been seeing you mostly in the videos, so nice to see you and being part of this interview. My pleasure. Thanks for inviting me. Yeah.
Thanks a lot. And let me start with a big congratulations to you. I heard last week you happened to win, the most innovator award from the Australian. So can you talk a little bit about that? And then probably we can just quickly kick off with the introduction.
Yeah, Anuj, thank you. Yeah, look, that came as a bit of a surprise. In fact, I didn't know. Somebody SMS'd me saying congratulations. So, look, the Australian is one of the leading newspaper here, and they, from past 3 years, they have they publish something called the list, where they identify top 100 innovators. The good news is you can't nominate, and being part of that list, which just not cuts across IT or AI, it cuts across every technology, be it manufacturing, quantum, everything. So I think that was a testimony to what we're doing at Katonic. Although the recognition is for me, but I think it's recognition for Katonic for the innovative work we've been doing, especially in the generative AI space, which I'm quite keen to talk about. Yeah,
absolutely. So the AI industry, as we know, is currently receiving a lot of attention than ever before, and well, we know that AI has been in existence for almost a decade. The introduction of generative AI has now been a game changer. So now to kick off, I just wanted to ask a little bit about the kind of inspiration and the vision behind Katonic, how it is changing the landscape of AI development and with its generative AI platform.
Yeah, absolutely, Anuj. Look, it's a great time to be alive. There's so much of innovation happening. Katonic, we started, so I started 3.5 years back, right? And prior to starting Katonic, I've been leading innovation and emerging tech and been responsible for delivering some of the complex AI and blockchain projects. So emerging tech is something which I've always been working on. So Katonic was started with an intent to help organizations get value from AI, right? And 3.5 years back, AI was synonym to machine learning, right?
Yeah.
And machine learning is more about helping humans or leaders take better decisions. So that's where we built this platform, which is called Machine Learning Operations Platform, which helps organizations, get value from AI, and that time during using machine learning. And machine learning, if you see, it was a different paradigm. I'll talk to you why there's so much excitement about generative AI. So machine learning, let's say if you have to build a use case. So let's say you want to build a use case where you want to analyze a particular email to see if that email has positive sentiment or negative sentiment, right? If it was 3 years back, you would collect about 100,000 emails, tag them. Okay, this is a positive, negative, and then you'll do a lot of work around featureization.
Yes.
So it's very labor intensive, data intensive, time intensive, cost intensive. But there was value, right? And very few companies could afford it. And our job was to make it as easy as possible, as cheap as possible for companies. And then later, something called deep learning happened, where these transformer program models became very popular. And the beauty of those transformer models were that they were pre-trained on a lot of small data, and which means that you didn't have to do a lot of data feature engineering. You had to just do labeling, and then the foundation model, the generative AI, happened, right? So we at Katonic, we have been innovating. So we've actually, we have a machine learning operations platform, but now we have a generative AI platform. And as new technology comes, our job is to make it easy and make it available for organizations to get value out of, right? So that's how we've been. And tomorrow, when something else comes, maybe quantum, we'll try and bring that in as well. So we are our job is to future-proof our customers, but at the same time get value from AI as soon as possible.
Okay, so you're empowering the businesses to unlock full potentials of AI and drive innovation. So generative AI is often seen as the next frontier in the AI development. Could you explain what Katonic's AI platform enables organizations to create enterprise-grade AI application, and what industries can benefit the most from this technology?
So look, generative AI became popular after ChatGPT came, right?
Yep.
And ChatGPT got like 100 million customers in 2 months. Uber took 7 years, right? And the reason it got so popular is because it put AI into hands of common man, right? Anyone could download chat GPT
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
WhatsApp,
Yeah.
right? And they were able to chat. So it was easy, it was cheap. But look, well, Chat GPT is great. So if you look at Chat GPT, it has two words, right? Chat and GPT. And GPT is nothing but an open source model which is
Yeah.
available, right? And these foundation models. So if I have to just help our viewers understand, so generative AI is a practice under AI which creates new content, right? And foundation models are these open source models which are trained on humongous amount of data,
Yeah.
right? And the data could be text. When they're trained on text, they're called large language model. An example of a large language model is GPT.
Yeah.
Now, recently, Llama, which is getting very popular, Meta, which is Facebook, has launched Llama. So we have Llama. So there are a lot of these foundation models available. In fact, we've taken 100 of most popular ones and created Katonic Playground, where you can actually play with all these foundation models for free, right?
Mhm.
Now, the beauty of these foundation models is, unlike machine learning, where I gave you an example that if you have to get value, you need to build a model. Here, you can use the same model to do multiple things. So it is like a genie, which can do everything for you. All you need to do is whisper in its ears and rub probably the Katonic lamp and say, hey, look, I'm going to give you an email, go through it, give me the sentiment, right? And it will do a sentiment analysis and give it to you. So what was costing you millions of dollars and a lot of people and a lot of compute now can be done in minutes. Now the problem is moved away from data engineering and feature engineering to more scale and security, because these foundation models are
Yes.
huge. Now, scalability is a problem. So what we are doing now is making it easy for organizations to get value from these foundation models, because we moved to a paradigm where you can get value from these foundation models without coding. We moved to a paradigm where we created a no-code platform for any business users to get value from these foundation models. So it is more about how can I take a foundation model, securely install it in my infrastructure, do a quick prompt tuning, basically whispering, and make it useful, right? And that's what we are enabling. And look, if you see machine learning, it was all about making humans more productive. But machine learning was all about making humans take better decisions. Generative AI is about productiveness, right? It can make humans more productive, which means that, to your question, it is applicable to every industry. Even within every industry, it is applicable to every business unit. So be it legal, customers in legal, HR, recruitment, AR, AP, right? It doesn't matter, finance. So that's why there's so much of excitement, and the way people are comparing this with internet moment and Android moment, because the way we cannot live without internet and Android or the mobile phone, I can bet that we cannot live without generative AI. I cannot, right? We use it on a regular basis and makes us more productive. So that's why there's so much of excitement, and it is applicable to every industry, and every human working hours will be impacted by this. Some little more, some little less, but eventually it will.
Absolutely. So you actually touch upon the security part. So I'll quickly jump into something on the data privacy and ethical consideration. So data privacy and ethical consideration are paramount in AI development. How does Ketonic address these concerns and ensure responsible AI uses with its platform?
Yeah. So look, see, when ChatGPT came, right, the underlying model, right, which is now sold as OpenAI, is given to you as an API, right? You can call that API and get the inference.
Uh-huh.
But organizations, especially banks and insurers, right, data security and data privacy is paramount. It's because of the regulation as well. While there is so much of value by calling these APIs, most of the organizations have actually banned ChatGPT or equivalent applications, because employees, they're unknowingly uploading things which they are not supposed to, right? So the biggest problem for the customers is data security and data privacy. And there, what we do is Katonic, we live on Kubernetes, so we are infrastructure agnostic, and we actually install on customers' premises. So your data problem is sorted because the data never leaves. Now, second problem is, actually there are three problems. The first is data security, data privacy, right? That's sorted because Katonic installs on customers' infrastructure. The second problem which the customers have is hallucination. So these large language models, right? So I can take an open source model and you can actually install it on Katonic. So your data never leaves. But these open source models are trained on a large amount of data which is publicly available. So it might not know everything about you, right? It has limitations, and it will end up giving you wrong answers, right? So that's where we use techniques called retrieval augmented generation, where combination of vector databases. It might sound very technical, but essentially there are techniques where the data will never leave customers' infrastructure, but we still use the power of large language model.
Okay.
Something which we take care of. So if you, in a nutshell, imagine this. We have couple of banks using it. So Katonic installs on their infrastructure. All these open source are installed on Katonic right at a click of a button, and then we use these techniques. So nothing really leaves the infrastructure. But the issue of bias and copyright still exists. And while generative AI is known for generative, most of the enterprises are getting value through extraction, summarization, the language capability of those large language models more than generative capability. And using retrieval augmentation, you are grounding it. So we are taking away that problem as well, right? So, all the IP issues. So it doesn't matter what it is trained on. We don't use the data which is trained on, but we use the language capability of those models. So that's how we cater to all these three problems, and that's why we have a lot of enterprises which they like Katonic, because we solve these problems very easily and affordably as well, right? We are one of the most affordable platform out there at this moment.
Awesome, I think. So, in the evolving landscape of AI, how do you see the broader industry trends shaping the way the organization approach AI and machine learning solutions?
See, firstly, every organization is now, so organizations which were not ready to embrace AI earlier because it was expensive and all the other things I told you, the traditional AI. Now they've started looking at generative AI and they've started using it, and eventually they'll do traditional and combination as well. And even in generative AI, while OpenAI or ChatGPT became very popular, there is a lot of competitors which is coming, right? So we call these models closed source. So they are closed source because they are API, right? So there's Cloudy, there is Cohere. AWS invested $4 billion in Anthropy, which has this model called Cloudy 2, right? Then there is OpenAI. So there's a lot of closed source models which have come. And there's a lot of open source models which are available, Llama, right? So now for an organization, they have three different options, right? One, use closed source. Two, use open source and install it on a platform like Katonic, or use hosted open source. So there are companies which have started hosting Llamas and started offering them at very cheap, 1 million tokens or tokens at $1, 83 rupees, right? So now what will happen is, with all this, organizations don't want to be locked into either a closed source or an open source, right? They want the freedom to choose any of these three because it will continue. So they're looking for a solution which will let them, based on the use case. So marketing might use ChatGPT, right? Because they usually deal with publicly available information. Whereas when you're extracting something from your insurance policy, you probably want to use Llama hosted on your infrastructure, right? So these are different combinations, and they want freedom to choose any of this approach, right? And they, because it saves them money as well, right? You don't want to be using OpenAI, which can do everything but costs you 15 cents per 1,000 tokens. Whereas when you can do the same with a $1 per million token using Llama. So they want that freedom. That's what we offer, right? We are LLM agnostic. You can build 20 applications, and each application can have a different LLM, right? So that's where the world is going. So there'll be more competition in the closed source space. There'll be more companies offering open source hosted, and there'll be more companies looking at taking a lot of these open source and deploying out on their premises and fine tuning it, right? People will start fine tuning eventually. So that's how I see things evolving. And look, I can only tell you what will happen in the next 3 months, but beyond that, it's hard to predict. So every year in AI is every week in the AI world is actually a year.
Absolutely.
So quite exciting. I'm sure if we meet again in 3 months, we'll have many more things to talk about again. Right? So,
absolutely. I don't mind. Like, even if you meet after 3 days, you'll find a lot of things down there. Yes. So can you share some insights into the key challenges that the business face when adopting AI technologies, and what strategy can help them in overcoming these obstacles?
Yeah. So the first biggest challenge which I have seen is most of the technical leaders, right? They have a lot of pressure from board saying generative AI, we need to do something, right? That's that's the biggest problem for most of these people. I'll be very honest. But then their knowledge of what can be done using generative AI is so much from all these exciting and fun stuff which is happening on LinkedIn, Facebook, right? They're struggling to really understand, what generative AI means to their business, and even in their business, how do they actually get business value securely, keeping their security team. So the biggest problem which I've been solving, I meet 3 or 4 customers a day and at least 3 or 4 boards a week, right? Where we are educating, and helping them understand what is this whole generative AI, why there is so much of excitement, how you can get value, right? So that's the number one problem. Number two is, people are used to, very large digital transformation where they do 6 months planning and deliver over 5 years.
Yeah.
Right. So things have changed now. You cannot spend 6 months planning because by the time your plan is frozen, the technology is obsolete. So people have realized that they need to experiment very fast, right? But they don't know how to start because there are not many options. Most of the options are, cloud, either these 3 leading crowds, Microsoft, AWS, Google will give you option, but then you're stuck to a particular technology, right? They want the freedom. So organizations have started realizing they want to experiment, right? So we help them experiment very quickly. They want to understand how they can get value securely. So we help them understand securely. So yeah, the key problems are education, security, right? Business value mapping, what it means, and low hanging fruits, right? You don't want to be day one getting in and saying I'll fine tune a model and I'll use a image model, which means that it's a big learning curve. So you always start with easy use cases, which is your large language models with retrieval. So you build a chatbot, build a LLM powered search, and then move towards more, so we have made it easy for them. So we have realized that any use case boils down to 10 tasks, and using Katonic, you can build any of those tasks without any coding. I think I kind of mixed a lot of things, but hopefully that answers the question which you asked, Anuj. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. No coding and low coding AI platform are gaining a lot of popularity. So could you just embrace these platform changing the dynamics of AI development and deployment in the future? You
Look, no
envision
code.
that?
Yeah. See, low code. See, every business always wants everything no code, right? But then traditionally it was not possible. So during machine learning days, all those data transformations are all very hard, right? But eventually, even we have no code, low code, or no code capability to build machine learning models. It took a while, but we eventually reached there with maturity, right? But now with generative AI, two things have happened, right? One, firstly, you don't need data with prompts, which is plain English. You can get value, which means
Yeah.
that you can actually start building, very, interesting use cases, which delivers business value very quickly. But the other thing which has happened is these large language models can actually, accelerate your coding. So you can use large language model to, you can ask, okay, can you tell me the last 5 days, five restaurants who gave me the maximum revenue? So it will convert into a SQL and give you. Or you can say, can you write a Streamlit app code for me doing this? So the coding is also accelerated. So while it becomes very easy to get value from generative AI use without any code, generative AI itself is made easy for applications which require coding. So eventually, all the data scientists will become business scientists because nobody will be coding anymore, right? That's what I feel. Everybody will be more interested in understanding what business wants and mapping that into an application, and then using no code or low code or maybe even voice command, eventually build those applications and give it to business, right? So that's the future, which I think will happen very quickly.
Okay, so data scientist becoming a business scientist, that sounds pretty cool. So can you please talk about the top focus areas and expansion plans over the next 2-3 years?
Look, with generative AI coming in, the entry barrier is gone away, right? So it would take me a long, long time to, essentially, have an enterprise adopt machine learning operations platform, because if you had to get value from machine learning operations platform, you needed at least minimum 5 to 10 data scientists,
Yeah.
right? Otherwise, whom will you make productive, right? And you needed a roadmap of models, and you would have capability where you're building a lot of models, right? And it was very expensive. But now with generative AI, you don't need data scientists, right? You don't need a lot of data, and you can quickly get value. So which means that a lot of organizations have started looking at generative AI, which also means that the target addressable market has gone up for us, right? So I've never been busy in my life as I am, right? We have more demand than we cater. So we are moving more towards, our focus is more generative AI, because eventually, although we have an MLOps platform, eventually people will do generative and come to MLOps. But currently the focus is more generative AI, and we are trying to make it more and more self. We want our customers to be self-reliant. So just log in or install, and then you should be able to build, applications. So our focus is to, do generative AI and make them self-reliant. And on the go-to-market side, we are working with a lot of partners. So we've onboarded over 15 partners, and we work very closely with them, because we feel that customers are already working with IT companies, right? And they know their problems, and we want to work with those system integrators and help them solve those problems. So we already have partnerships with, Kendrail, Luxoft, Collabora Digital. We've done global partnership. We actually opened 2 labs with Collabora Digital. One in, actually it was world's first and Australia's first in Sydney, and we launched a generative AI lab in Philippines. So our focus is, APAC, through partners. And we have few, big deals going on in the US, UK, right? That's where we're looking at now, selling, and, yeah. So look, exciting times. we are driven by demand, so it's very difficult to say where the focus will be. At this moment, we are fulfilling demand, and demand is coming from all over the world, but definitely US, UK, APAC, Australia. These are the markets which we'll be focusing for the next 1 or 2 years. Yeah.
Okay, so you touch upon the partners. So partners, is it that are you looking at the technology partners and then the MSPs and then SIs of the world, something like that kind of a? Uh,
Yes, yeah, SI partners, because like I said, customers who want have problems, and these SI partners are already working with the customers,
uh-huh.
and we want these SI partners to be trained. They can take Ketonic, and they can help the customers build the application. Either the cookie cutter application, we have about 25 pre-built applications which you can build, or custom application. And it makes it very easy as well, because these are already in the ecosystem. The paperwork is there. One of the biggest challenge for a company like us is the paperwork, right? Security and the procurement is always a big problem, always for us. Security, we've taken care. We are on ISO 27001 with all the right securities in place. And procurement issues, we prefer to work with an existing SI, because they know the problems of the customer. We have a lot of focus on boutique AI companies, large SI players, mid-size SI players. We're working with them, and also cloud. We've launched a one-click installation of Ketonic on AWS. So in flat
Okay.
30 minutes, you can install Ketonic on your AWS, and you get a free license for 60 days. So and we also have a free version, but people are hesitant to upload. So yeah, it's a combination of go-to-market strategy with cloud like AWS, and also the partnership with SI, which will take us to the next level.
Okay, so basically, what you're trying to do is democratizing Gen AI by making it more accessible to the broader audience, streamlining the development process, and enhancing the collaboration through your partner ecosystem. So, can you please also talk about the top focus areas and the expansion plan you have over the next 2 to 5 years?
See, at this moment, definitely, like I said, for generative AI is the focus, right? And we already have, we are an Australian company, but we have subsidiary in Singapore, we have subsidiary in India, and we are soon going to open a subsidiary in the US. So definitely, look, we want to be global, right? And the only way to be global very quickly is through partners, and also by making a product which is very intuitive, right? So we've come. A lot of analysts have covered us, and all of them appreciate the ease at which you can actually build applications on Ketonic without, because there's a lot of no-code, low-code platforms available in the market, but you still need to be technical. So our goal is to build a no-code application which is catering to the business who have zero technical knowledge, but will be able to build a application on Ketonic, and that's what we have achieved. So I can assure that everybody who's on this call, you can go to Katonic.ai, and I can bet that, in fact, a 9-year-old built a grounded chatbot using Ketonic. We had a marketing coverage on that. So yeah, that's our vision, to democratize, make it easy, and go global. Yeah,
absolutely. And so Ketonic is it a bootstrap, or is it a funded? What like?
Yeah, so I started in 2020, somewhere in March, April, right? And that's when the COVID happened. For almost 2 years, because of the uncertainty, it was very difficult to raise. So I bootstrapped for almost 2 years. And during that period, I used the COVID period to actually build a good product. But November last year, we did raise from Artisan Environment. So they are one of the largest VCs here in Australia. So no, we are funded now, and we're looking at a bigger round somewhere in March. At this moment, we are kind of cash flow, neutral. So our incoming revenue is equal to very few startups can boast of that. I think Zerodha was a great answer. One of footsteps of Zerodha. Yeah.
So I can see another Zerodha coming up. So looking into the future, what trends and the opportunity do you see in the no-code and the generative AI industry, and how Katonic AI was to shape and adapt to these developments?
Yeah, so look, when no-code is going to become popular and helping applications being built, soon people will expect no-code experience to fine-tune, right? And fine-tuning these large language models with your own data is not an easy task, right? But the number of steps required from a front-end perspective are very simple, but in the back-end, there's a lot of machinery and engineering which goes in. So we are on the roadmap. In few weeks, we'll be offering fine-tuning without any coding. And while a lot of focus is on large language models, which is around text, soon people will start looking at images, videos, audio. So foundation model, hosting, fine tuning in the other modality will also happen, and also multimodality, right? So that's where we are seeing happening, and the expectation will be that anything which our customers or enterprises want to do, they want to do no code, because once you taste no code, you can't go back to coding. So the entire, yeah, that's how I see things going to be evolving, and the demand is also going to come.
Okay. So, overall, the future of no coding and the generative AI industry looks promising with increased adoption and advancements on the horizon. And after speaking with you, I'm super confident that Katonic is ready to embrace these trends and opportunity, empowering users to build, create, and innovate in a seamless and efficient manner. With this, we come to the end of this episode. Thanks, Prem, for such an insightful session. And we really had a great pleasure interacting with you.
Thank you, Anuj. It was my pleasure, as always. Yeah, thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks a lot, Prem.
For more updates from CXO TV, please like and subscribe to our channel.